Welcome to Kathryn Raaker's World. Innovation, culture, adventure, fashion and health, artists, destinations, traditions. This is Kathryn Raaker's World.
Hi, this is Kathryn Raaker of Kathryn Raaker's World, our syndicated TV show, and Let's Just Talk, our syndicated radio show. And I have the honor, and I mean honor, of having Ron Clements, who is an American animated film director who collaborates with John Musker, or did, or still does. And they directed various Disney animated films, including The Great Mouse Detective, The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Hercules, Treasure Planet, The Princess and the Frog, Moana, The Little Mermaid, and Aladdin are some of the
And Moana, yeah, Moana was the last film.
Moana.
Yeah, Moana was the last film that we did before I retired, which came out in just about 8 years ago, I think, although it doesn't seem that long ago.
I remember it. I loved it. I mean, I think being part of the little children's world at times, I love animation. And I'll go to any animated show that's out there that I really, really love and watch it over and over again. And everybody's a little kid inside, aren't they, Ron?
I think so. I mean, I before I worked at Disney, I was a Disney fan. I grew up as a Disney fan, and of course, when I was a kid, I saw Walt Disney every Sunday night introducing his TV show, and I loved the animated features. It was particularly the one that hit me the strongest was Pinocchio, which I saw when I was 9 years old in my hometown of Sioux City, Iowa. And I was really, really blown away by that movie. And actually, after seeing it, that was when I kind of thought in my head, I think this is what I want to do with my life. I want to be involved with making films like this, and that's what I ended up doing.
Well, how did you get your big break? That's the first question.
Well, like a lot of things, I think there was a lot of luck involved, although there were other things too. As I say, I was very interested in animation. I made little Super 8, if people know what Super 8 animated films were, it was film when there used to be film. And I had with my paper route, I saved my money and I had a camera that could shoot single frames so I could shoot animation. And so I made my own little animated films. And when I was 15 years old, I got a job at a local TV station, and I actually did some animated commercials for the TV station. And I ended up making a film, a 15-minute film about Sherlock Holmes at that TV station, which got some attention from people in Los Angeles, and that led me to getting into Disney's talent development program. And where I say I was lucky, it was because for years the doors were kind of closed at the studio. They didn't really hire new people for many years. A lot of the same animators who worked on Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Disney's first animated feature, were still there now in their 60s and approaching retirement. And because of the success of the Jungle Book, which came out in I think the late 60s, maybe early 70s. They're getting bad with dates, but that film was extremely successful, and the studio decided, well, after Walt's passing, that they still wanted to keep animation going, and they figured to do that they needed to bring in some new people, and I was the right age at the right time, so that's how I got into Disney.
So I have to mention this, or, it's important to know that There are so many wonderful people that have come through the L. Ron Hubbard. You were the guest speaker this year, and
Right.
these illustrators are beyond belief. And, I got to sit with all the judges and it was really nice. It was really cool. And, my brother loved to illustrate and, kids love to draw. Let's face it. I'm what you call a doodle artist. You know what that is, doodling. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I do
No,
other kind of stuff besides that, right? But Um, I think that it's such a wonderful program that L. Ron Hubbard left his money to create this program, right? And I bet you were excited to be the keynote speaker, right?
yeah, this was the first year I had been invited by a really talented illustrator named Craig Elliott, and he actually designed the program. I guess I could show that.
I know
This
where it is.
is like
That's the book.
that's the book, but the picture
Oh, the
is his
picture is
paint.
done by him, right? It's
It was
gorgeous.
done by Craig Elliott. It actually,
Yes.
was honoring. Well, he was one of the judges, I think, and he's done it for a few years. And he invited me to be the keynote speaker, and I enjoyed it very much. I was a big science fiction fan growing up, and even some of the writers that I read, like Larry Niven
Oh,
and
yeah, I
others,
know
were
Larry.
there.
I know Larry.
And I got to meet them, and also I'm a big fan of illustrators in general, and particularly fantasy illustrators, and we've used many illustrators, and great artists have been involved with pretty much all the movies that we've done. Craig Elliott worked on a couple of our movies, but specifically Treasure Planet. I think the idea for the cover came from Craig while he was working on Treasure Planet, and he had this idea, and that led to what he did for the cover. But I had a great time at the evening, and it was great to see all these people. This was their big opportunity, their big break, in terms of winning, in terms of both writing and illustrating. Their first work, I think, that was published, which I think was part of the program. Most of them were very young, but some of them were not that young, but this was still like their dream, and it was very emotional hearing their speeches, and I've been to a lot of award ceremonies, but this was a little different, and it was like I say, it was emotional. Everyone who can relate to that when you're a young person and you have a dream and you're trying to follow that dream, and when you do get a break, when something happens and you feel like you can start to see that dream come true, I think that's really exciting and very inspiring.
I think so too. And I was really excited when I got there before, like I was there 3 days before, 2 or 3 days before, and I got to interview people on the red carpet. And I thought the Taglian Event Center is gorgeous. It's really beautiful.
Oh,
It,
it's incredible. Yeah, I didn't quite know what to expect, but I've never been there before. I
I
didn't
had
know it
neither.
existed.
I had neither. And I'd been to Hollywood and used to live in California, and I had never seen it
Yeah,
before.
I used to live in Hollywood. When I first moved to California, I lived in Hollywood. But yeah, and the food was
Delicious.
delicious.
Right. You can say
Uh,
that. I mean, I really enjoyed it.
but I met so many talented illustrators and writers.
Mhm.
Now, John Musker, who I worked with, who we co-wrote and co-directed those movies together. He has a memory. He still has a memory that even on any of the movies, I think he could remember everybody's name on the movie, which was amazing to me. And I think everybody's phone number, which is even more amazing. But I do not have that ability, unfortunately.
Tell me what is new in your world today and what you don't want to, you were talking about maybe that you tell us what you want to do in the near future, your goal.
Well, I did want to talk. I mean, I retired from Disney about 5 years ago, not too long after finishing Moana, which was finishing on a high note. I think we were very happy with the way that movie turned out. And I've been enjoying retirement. I've been doing a lot of things. I learned to play the piano, and I meditate, and I do other things. But I also have written a book that's coming out early next year. I actually have a mock-up of the book. It's called Making Disney Magic from a Mermaid to Moana, and it's really a chronicle of pretty much. I worked at Disney for 45 years,
40.
and 45 years, and it was and I started as an animator. I was an animator for about 10 years. Then I became a storyboard artist and moved into writing and directing. It was kind of a roller coaster ride. There were some big highs and some lows, but
Right.
it was something that I always wanted to do, and it was very gratifying. I enjoyed my career very much. I'm actually going back on a part-time basis, starting I think this month, as a sort of creative consultant to kind of sort of mentor a little bit and bring a little bit of the past to so many new people now that are at the studio. But I had a great time working at Disney and a great time working on this book.
It's really
It's
cool.
due to come out early next year, I think.
Really? And we need to take a short break, if you don't mind, right? And we'll be right back with Ron Clements, the wonderful American animated film director, everything. Did production, did storyboards, and all the different things, and is going to continue in a lot of different ways. We'll be right back after these important messages on Kathryn Raaker's Let's Just Talk and Kathryn Raaker's World. We're back with Ron Clements, the famous American animated film director and collaborator. And he and John Musker worked on very many Disney animated films, including The Great Mouse Detective, The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Hercules, Treasure Planet, The Princess and the Frog, and Moana, The Little Mermaid, and Aladdin, and so many other films from the 1980s through the early 1990s. And he's still doing some, even in retirement, a little bit. So we just recently, he was part of the L. Ron Hubbard Writers and Illustrators Achievement Awards event at the Taglian Complex in Hollywood on April 10th. And he was the keynote speaker, which is such an honor. I really believe an honor to do it. And he got to meet so many people. So tell me, was there someone that won an award that you were surprised about?
Well, no, I can't say I was surprised. There again, these were all kind of new people. The writers were all new authors, and since then I've read some of their stories, and I've looked at some of the illustrations of the illustrators. I did get to meet an astronaut. That was cool, and I can't remember her name, unfortunately. But it's the first time I've ever met an astronaut who's actually been up there in space. She showed video with the Earth behind her through the screen. That was exciting.
I know a lot of them are so shy in some respects. And, 2 years ago, there was a young man that doesn't imagine things as a illustrator, right? But his illustration won, and it was magnificent. So, I mean, some of these people have maybe even a disability, but they come
Oh
through
yeah.
the art world, right? And it's just amazing. So tell me about your life in a sense that what was the most exciting thing that ever happened to you, Ron?
Oh, gee, that's a little bit hard. I would actually say one of the most exciting things was when I did get accepted into the Disney Talent Development Program because that was my dream to work at Disney Studios. And originally my goal was to become an animator. And one of the other most exciting things for me was actually when I was promoted to animator. That was on a film called The Rescuers, and certainly it was exciting at that time that I had a mentor, and I was saying I may be doing some mentoring now, but my mentor when I started at Disney, after I had done some personal tests and that the studio liked, and an animator named Frank Thomas asked to work with me for him to be my mentor. And Frank Thomas goes back to the early days of Disney. He animated the scene in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs where the dwarves are mourning the death of Snow White, which was the first time anyone actually ever cried during an animated film. He did great animation on Pinocchio and Bambi and Captain Hook, and he also did the spaghetti sequence in Lady and the Tramp with the two dogs
Wow.
eating spaghetti. So I worked with Frank for 2 years, and he was basically my teacher, and he taught me certainly a lot about animation, a lot about acting, which was his specialty, was really sincere, very believable acting and relationships, and he taught me a lot about Disney and the whole Disney philosophy and Walt's philosophy and what was behind the films that they made, and that was exciting. Yeah, all of those things sort of led to what came later. I would say certainly on The Little Mermaid, it was thrilling to work with Howard Ashman and Alan Menken, who did the music for that film. And just hearing the songs, they actually moved into the studio at the time and wrote the songs there in the building, so you could hear the music coming out of the room as they were working on all these songs like "Part of Your World" and "Under the Sea." And then when they had something that they liked, they would invite us in and perform the songs for us, and that was a very memorable time. It was exciting because that was on Little Mermaid, because that was kind of a new generation. This was our first chance to really kind of do our own film. John Musker and I were in our early 30s when we started that film, and we were two of the oldest guys on that film. Most of the staff was younger than us, a very eager group who I think everybody recognized this was a chance to do something that could hopefully stand the test of time, and it has.
And I think most of the ones that were done years ago are the best ones. And I feel very, because I go back with Disney a long time, longer than you. Okay. I remember the first seeing the first drawings they came out, and how they took the pages and made it go look like an animation. And it was very
Well,
interesting. I mean, I really, really enjoyed that part of it. And so I encourage kids to be creative and to just go for their dreams and not be afraid, especially if they're talented.
in terms of that, I would say for me, growing up, I drew all the time. I love drawing. I drew cartoon characters mostly, but I love to draw. But I also love to read. As soon as I learned to read, I wanted to read, and I went to the library all the time
Right.
and checked out stacks of books and continued to read. As I say, I was a big science fiction and fantasy fan in my teenage years, and I would recommend. I think whatever people want to do with their life, I think exploring creativity, exploring their own creativity, is still really important. And I'm retired from Disney, but I know that even still that creativity and just finding people with a sense of entertainment, a sense of creativity who can bring something unique to the art form. That's still they're still looking for that. That's always still going to be one of the most important things in terms of any art form.
I mean, your family must be so, so proud of you. True?
Well, I guess so. I think so. Although my granddaughter, she just turned 9. She and actually we're going on a Disney cruise in a month or so from now, I think. And she's going on the cruise as well. But she's not into princesses so much. I think she actually is more into Pixar films, which is also part of Disney. She really loved Inside Out and Inside Out 2, but she stays away from the princesses. So it
See,
is what
my
it is.
granddaughter, who's 14 now, going to be 15, she performed at Hampton Inn. She didn't know she was doing it. And she sang, Frozen. And the people that were there just got up and clapped really hard. And she would go to I would take her to all these movies and she'd get up and she'd sing. She would just get so excited. And she had the whole princess's outfit and all that kind of stuff. So I understand that. They tend to do
Yeah,
that.
people like to do that. The music is so memorable. And Disney actually makes sing-alongs. So sometimes they have screenings of the movies where the lyrics are on the screen and the whole audience sings along. And
Right,
those are
right.
really fun.
They are fun.
I think it was a Little Mermaid. I think it was the first one when that movie came out, and it was the first Disney movie that went onto videotape. Not too long after it came out. Now, a lot of people don't know what videotape is, but that was the first film because it was on videotape. But when I was visiting relatives over the holidays, the kids would come out and they would sing the songs. They would know all the songs by heart because they would watch those videos over and over again, and that was fun. And then since then, those kids have grown up now and they have kids of their own, and they've sort of brought their kids into that. And it's fun now at my age that I'm happy that like the films that we did are they stuck around, and that future generations kind of have appreciated it, and that was a little bonus. I didn't really think about that when we made the
Yeah,
movies, but
right.
it's nice.
It's nice. I mean, I don't sit and watch my own shows, and it's funny because people come up to me afterwards and they'll say, "We really, really loved it." And I said, "Thank you very much. I appreciate it." But it's been so much fun having you on. Absolutely. I can't thank you enough. I wish I had a mentor like you when I was younger, but I'm older than you, so what can I tell you? But you would be a great
Well,
mentor, right?
you certainly don't. You certainly don't seem to be younger than me. I mean, older than me. I think you definitely seem to be quite a bit younger than me. But thanks, Catherine. I had a great time, and thanks for inviting me and talking to me. And
Give me your
yeah,
address, and
it was fun.
if you're interested in my book, I would love to send you one.
Okay, I'll do that.
So after the show, if you give me your address, I'd appreciate it, and I will send it to you. And it's important for you to know that some of this is true. You have to guess what's true and what's not. Okay.
Okay, okay,
All right.
okay. Sounds
So
good.
thank you. And so I've got the name of your new book, and I'm excited, and it's coming out in 26 or the late 2025.
26. It's coming out in 26, but I'm not sure of the exact date yet.
Oh, yeah, we understand that. Don't worry. I wish you all the luck in the world with what you want to do in the future. And hopefully I'll get to see you next year at the event. How about
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
That would be
Sounds good.
Thank you so much. And stay with me for a minute. We are now going to say goodbye to our guest, and that's Ron Clements. And we want to thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to go to our website at KathrynRakersWorld.com and Let'sJustTalk.com. And I do have a cooking show called The Chef You and I. And so go see it. It's all fun. And we'll see you soon. And thank you for joining me today on Kathryn Raker's World. And let's just talk.